Hello everybody, this is Paul from Aquariums and Gardens. Hope you're all doing great today. Today I'm going to talk to you about starting seed indoors for your outdoor vegetable garden. There are a number of reasons why you'd want to start seed indoors. One of the big reasons is to avoid subjecting your new plants to the outdoor cold temperatures. We're here in southwest Ohio, and just a couple days ago we had freezing temperatures here towards the end of April. So if you put your plants outdoors in the ground already and you get a frost, most of those plants are going to be killed, especially being so immature and small. They haven't had a chance to harden themselves. Even then, if it's cold enough, even larger plants are going to have problems with frost and they will get killed. So why not start your seed indoor in a climate-controlled environment where you can get a head start on the growing season. And part of that too is another positive growing indoors is you get a head start on some of those slower growing plants. Your plants like tomatoes, peppers, they have a tendency to take a little longer to get towards full growing size where you can get the most productivity out of them. So when it comes to starting indoors, you can start those indoors earlier when the temperature's still cold. So when it comes to growing those plants that are a little slower to grow and mature, you can start those indoors and get them growing larger. So once you do set them outside, they're actually ready to go and will start producing fruit and vegetables sooner than if you just started it outdoors. And another reason to start indoors is because then you can control from the start to finish how the plants grow. So basically you're starting from seed indoors, you're planting, you're controlling the soil that it's growing in. You are as well then able to transplant those as need for transplant and then wait until the right moment to put them outdoors. Versus you can buy seedlings that are already grown, usually at your local farmer's market or your local big box store. They sell a lot of plants. You don't necessarily know how they were grown, what kind of seeds they were, and in what kind of environment they were. While usually most of the times they're going to be very great, but if you want to control from the start to the finish, it's great to start your seeds on your own indoors. So I'm going to show you how I do it from the start, where I'm using a plug of some sort. Basically it's using a growing soil, kind of compacting that growing soil into a form, popping your seeds in there, putting it in a little grow tray. So one of the other things too with growing indoors is some of your seeds need to have a certain amount of temperature. It needs to be warm enough outdoors or warm enough for them to start germinating. So you can start that process earlier by creating your indoor seeding medium, putting the seed in, putting it in a tray, having a covered tray so there's enough humidity in there, and putting a heating mat right underneath that tray. So what that heating mat it does is that will heat up the seeds, make it think, hey, it's warm out, let's start growing. So that's another advantage of doing it indoors. Whereas if you're outdoors and the temperature's still cool, a lot of those seeds are just going to sit waiting for the right temperatures. So get that head start indoors early. So going back to the steps that I do, start with a plug indoors. Basically it's like a seed growing medium shaped into a particular size, pop the seeds in, and then move that seeds into, I've got a growing tent right behind me here, I'm going to show you here in a few seconds. And then from there, let them germinate, transplant them. In my case, I transplant them to a little larger pot, and then just, watch them, give them plenty of light, water them on a regular basis, and then when it comes time to transplant them outdoors, you're going to have to harden them off, get them used to being outdoors, get them used to being in the full sun, and then before you put them in the ground. Otherwise, you can have transplant shock, which can kill your plants as well. So let's go take a look at the grow tent right behind me, and we can see how I do it. So here you can see these are the types of plugs I use. I will show you the actual device I'm using. It's something that I picked up off of Amazon. I'll leave a link to that in the comments below, in the section below, as well as leave a picture of it up here too. So that's how the plugs start. You can see a couple seedlings in there. I've got a couple pepper plants, a flower over there. So these are newer plants. Some of them already look like they need to be transplanted, so which I will be transplanting. And as you can see over here, these got a head start on the growing season. I started those maybe 3-4 weeks ago. You can already see these tomato plants, they're all growing quite well, and actually some of them even have flowers. So obviously there's no pollinators here in my basement in this grow tent. And once I put these outdoors, the pollinators are going to come around, start pollinating these plants, and then right away vegetable production will start. So you can see there's a heat mat there. The heat mat I use is a Jumpstart heat mat. I bought that off of Amazon as well. And I just buy this tray over here with these planters from a local organic gardening store. So once they're at a certain size, like the sizes over there, they're perfect for transplanting, and I will be transplanting here these shortly, and they'll be going into a pot like that over there, where they will wait until they go into the garden. So here are the tools I'm going to start out with to create the seed plugs. Got some soil, a spoon to mix with. That's my seed plug starter right there. And I'm going to put the finished product here in the tray. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of water there to the soil. It's dry right now, so what we want to get it a little muddy. You don't want it too saturated, you don't want it super saturated where it's hard to work with. You just want it muddy enough where it's thick and consistent enough that when you insert it into this, that it's going to stick. As you can see, they have little divots on the inside there that leave a place for putting the seed in for your inside your seed plugs. So I did add some water into this. How much water you add is always going to depend on the type of soil you have. In this case, it's a little drier, so I'm going to go back and add just a pinch more water, just so it's get a little more muddy, a little more easier to work with. Oh, it's looking good. Good consistency. You can see it's kind of clumping. There's chunks of soil. Once I got a good mix on it, make sure all the dry is mixed, it'll be ready. Insert into the plug maker. And this process is pretty easy. I prefer just to use my hands, that's why I've got the gloves. So it's just a matter of grabbing your mud, inserting it into the mold here, and kind of compressing it down. If you do happen to put in a lot of water, too much water in the beginning, one thing you can always do to kind of help reduce the water, take some of the water out, is just give it a good squeeze. Some of that water just drips back out. So just fill each of these plugs. And kind of compress it down there too, so you don't want it overly compressed, but you also don't want a very loose plug that's going to break apart. So this particular one has, as you can see, it has 4 plugs. That's what it looks like when it's completed. Now I'm going to take this in here, put it down, kind of press firmly on the bottom, and pull up the lever. There you go. 4 plugs. If you have a larger garden, you want to do a lot more plantings, then they do have larger sizes of those. And while this is a different alternative, I've seen one on Instructables where you actually can kind of make your own using PVC pipe. So be sure to look at that. If it's something you want to try and make on your own, you don't want to go out and spend some money on something like that. As you can see here, there's little divots inside each plug. And with those divots is you just put your seed in there, kind of cover it up, tamp it over, and then, like we saw in the tent over there, then you cover this up, make sure it has enough water, put it on the heat mat, and just wait for things to sprout. These are some older ones here, some old seeds I tried sprouting. Nothing really sprouted, so I'm probably going to just recycle these, get some other seeds to try and get them to grow. So here's the final product. You got the 4 new plugs right over here. These are some old plugs that I had with seeds that didn't sprout. They're pretty old seeds, so I'm going to try it again. Try reseeding those again. Nothing sprouted in those. It's been a couple weeks now, so it's time to reset those. So here's some seeds I soaked overnight in water. Got some cayenne, jalapeno, some ghost pepper, some watermelon, and some marigold. Some of the seeds are old, so I'm just trying to get a start from these seeds, whether they start or not. At this point, we're a little late in the early start of the growing season, so if I don't get anything, that's fine. These plugs are just going to get tossed into the soil and kind of become the rest of the garden, plant or no plant. So with that, I'll show you the steps that I take to get these planted right here. So I do have a bunch of seeds in here. I just basically, since these are old seeds, I'm just gonna try them all, get them out. If they don't work, then they were never meant to work, because they're just pretty old. So in this case, the divot's been removed since I've already put some seeds in this one. This one here that I'm planting was jalapeno, so I'm going to plant probably about half the seeds in here. And this one you can see on the other side. The one right above it is also I've tagged for jalapeno. The divot's already there. It's an open divot. It's pretty easy just to scoop the seeds and pop them in. And the reason I like to use this tool too is I don't want to put any of the oils from my hands onto these seeds to give them something else to complain about, something else to get sick over. So number 1's done. And finish up the other one here. And I will pour the water off on these, just to moisten the block up. As long as we get at least one to germinate, that's all I need. Then what I should be doing is harvesting seeds from the actual vegetable once it grows. This next one we're going to pick is cayenne, and I've got these two of the new blocks reserved for cayenne. As you can see in this one here, you gotta be careful because as they dry up, they do break. This particular soil that I'm using, I'm not a big fan of. I believe it's a Miracle Grow soil. It's more for planting, not necessarily seed starting. I had another batch of soil that I ran out of. It was a seed starting soil. That texture, actually, that's one of these right here. You can kind of see the texture of it is much better looking than these. These are a little more clumpy. This is a little more fine looking. So this time I wasn't able to find the other one, so I went with this. I'm probably gonna try this for this season and then hopefully can switch back to the other one if I'm able to find it. Final, not final, but these are watermelon. These are big seeds, a little easier to put in. Again, trying not to break these too badly. Put in a couple seeds, just hope something grows. And if not, it's not, the watermelon is actually more of one of those kind of experiments. You know, if it grows, it's great. If not, oh well. And this final one is just marigold flowers. It's more just for attracting the pollinators. I might put it on the edge of the garden just to give them something else to enjoy while they're visiting. And that's the process that I used for seed starting, for indoor seed starting for my outdoor garden. Hope you enjoyed the video and you found it informative. Please leave any questions or comments down in the comment section below. And please subscribe and like to the channel. Thank you.